So, Tito, with such a historic track record of accomplishments and everything that you have been through thus far, why have you decided to put boxing on your resume?
Well, I think being a fighter my whole life, literally, fighter my last 24 years of mixed martial arts, I've always been a big boxing fan, back in the days of watching Muhammad Ali, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, Hagler. I mean, all the way up to watching De La Hoya, to Mike Tyson, Fernando Vargas, Canelo, Ryan Garcia. I've always been a big fan of boxing. I've always loved the sweet science of boxing, but I came from a wrestling background. So wrestling was really my forte. And when I got into mixed martial arts, it was perfect. But I had to learn all the other martial arts of jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and boxing. But boxing was always one of the ones that we did a lot. We did a lot of sparring, getting ready for fights. But I was able to take guys down and be dominant on top of the ground and pound and so forth. But, over the last 5 years, I've really concentrated on my boxing skills just because I got heavy hands. And if I could let them go and focus on numbers, I'm able to do these things in the match in general. But when Triller came out, I see just an opportunity to the entertainment value that they present for all the fans. It's perfect, man. I love to entertain my fans. And I get the call to fight Mike Tyson. When Mike Tyson fought Roy Jones Jr. And I think I said yes too damn quick. All of a sudden the fight got turned down. And I'm thankful of it. Mike Tyson's an animal. I mean, that guy is vicious.
Right.
I probably might have bit off a little more than I could chew by saying yes too damn quick. But once again, it made me focus on strictly on my boxing now, because now that there was an opportunity, now there was a question of if Tito can box. And I know I can box. My trainer knows I can box. So now it's just time to show the world that I can box. And when I got the call, I believe it was the first week of August to fight Anderson Silva, I said 100%, I'm in. And I watched Anderson Silva fight, was it Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is a 165-pound fighter. He's not a 180-pound fighter. He's a smaller guy. He threw, I think, maybe 17 punches each round.
Right.
Boxing, you got to throw numbers and repetition and combinations. And when they asked me if I want to fight Anderson Silva, I said 100%, I'm in. So, I had last 4.5 weeks to get ready for this fight. And I don't know, I put in the work. I put in the miles. I put in the sparring. We've been sparring 3 times a week. And it's been hard. It's been difficult. It's not easy. No camp is easy. This one just was a little quicker than normal. I wish I had a little more time, but now I don't have to wish for anything at all because we got a week away and I'm ready to fight. I just got to get my weight down. I'm lighter than I normally be for any of my fights. Walking around about 212 right now. I came from 40 about a month ago. So it's just one of those things of I'm sacrificing a lot for this fight, and not just physically, but just emotionally and mentally. And that's how much I want this fight. This is how much I want to win. And I'm sacrificing the world for it, man. I want to get my hand raised. I want to shock the world. And here's my opportunity. God has given me an opportunity, and I want to take advantage of this. And I put my nose down and chin down and just been going 7 days a week, training anywhere from 3 to 6 hours a day, doing my 4 miles a day of running 7 days a week, doing my 3 times a week of sparring, doing mitt works 3 times a week. Sunday is just my long bike ride of 20 miles with 20 flights of stairs, doing my light weight training. But I'm trying to get as much as I possibly can in. And now it's everything's in. Everything's ready. Hopefully I have the recipe to get my hand raised. And Anderson Silva is one of the greatest mixed martial arts champions to ever grace the octagon. And he wants to get in boxing. I want to get in boxing. I want to entertain the fans, but I want to fight. I don't want to make this a dance and to pick apart and really box. I want to try to knock this guy out. I'm going for blood. That's my number one.
I thoroughly enjoy it. I love it. I love the enthusiasm, the energy. And then plus you touched on so many different things. So when you originally said yes to this fight, or even back when you said yes to the Mike Tyson fight, what is the first thing that you and your trainer did? Like, how did you guys sit down and create this plan of attack? Because we know boxing is a completely different animal than mixed martial arts and wrestling or UFC in general. So what was like your go-to plan of how am I going to eat right and get right for this one? And then what was your overall goal of, we got to get back into like a boxing shape instead of a traditional mixed martial arts?
Well, I think it's not as much. The biggest thing is sparring. Sparring is the biggest thing.
Okay.
Sparring, more sparring than normal. But it's good because it helps the timing. Once again, it's the timing, it's the distance. This little angle, I mean, we're boxing, our fists are only so big. With MMA, you got to worry about kicks, you got to worry about knees, you got to worry about elbows, you got to worry about takedowns, you got to worry about spinning kicks, takedowns, submissions, so many different angles. There are so many different martial arts you got to watch out for. In boxing, it's kind of like checkers. I go forward, I go back, I go side to side, but I can only have to use two hands. So combinations is one of the things that we try to work on a lot of timing, a lot of distance, things that really didn't have to work before because everything was just a punch to a takedown, a punch to a kick, a punch to get the takedown, to close the gap. Now it's throwing combinations and trying to work out those combinations and circling and get your foot on the outside. With Anderson, he's a southpaw. So once again, there's another strategy that I got to make sure I focus on is making sure I get on the outside of his foot and not staying on the inside of his foot, make a nice step on his foot or get on the outside of his foot. Straight right hand, left hooks to the body. A lot of things that we work on is just forte of what I've done in my mixed martial arts career, but not as much work as I did in my mixed martial arts career. So it's a little bit easier and people don't really understand the values of that because in wrestling, it is so hard on the body. In jiu-jitsu, it's so hard on the body. And let me rephrase this. Wrestling is so hard on the body. Of just the pounding and the snapping, the head ties, the head collar, neck ties, snatching the legs, taking a guy down, slamming on the floor. There's so much energy that is put into that. With boxing, it's the sweet science. You know, you got to have your movements, you got to have your angles, and it's speed. Speed will kill. Speed will kill everything. The power can come, yes, but you got to kill them with speed first. And this is the type of things that I got to learn. And it is the sweet science of boxing. It's important. And I respect it. I respect all boxers like no other. I have no disrespect towards any of them. They're all monsters, but you just got to have the mentality. You got to have the strength of having a positive mentality of knowing what you did in camp to do exactly the same thing in the ring. And it's fun. It's exciting. As I say, you know, I feel young. I feel younger than I did when I was in my 30s, man, just because of I found something new. I found something that I'm loving right now. This is great to go do my 4-mile runs, to come and do my 8 rounds of sparring, to do my bag work, to do my mitt work, and to see a new angle of punching, see a new angle of footwork and different stuff that I never learned before. It's like, I'm a kid, man. I'm a kid in the playground. This is fun.
Yeah, it's newfound energy, definitely.
Yeah.
So we've heard that the fight has been moved from LA to potentially Miami. Does it matter at all that you're losing kind of home advantage, or does it not matter at all?
What's going on? I'm the first to hear this. We're going to Miami. Let's go, baby. I'm talking about. I'll be happy with that. I don't have to worry about no vaccine. I don't have to worry about no mask. I'm cool with that. Let's go. It really is gonna be in Miami.
That's what we're hearing right now. I mean, it's still in the works, but that's what the updated story is so far.
Well, if that's the story, that just made me feel a lot better right now. LA is a nightmare. I mean, I live 30 minutes away from LA. I'm in Huntington Beach, and like I say, you know, not to get political about stuff, but here in Huntington, we're number 4 in the nation, the most conservative city. We are the Florida of the United States here in Huntington Beach. So we don't have much mandates here. I'm very thankful. I take care of myself. I eat healthy. It's very important to take care of yourself. And in LA, it's like a different world. It's like a time zone going there. So during the camp, during the weight cut and everything, I was going to stay home. And just for the fight, I was going to drive up there, kick some ass, and get back home and enjoy myself here in Huntington Beach. But now if we're going to Florida, I'm down. Let's do this. That makes me happy. I'll be happy for that. Either way, I'm going to kick some ass. I'm excited.
And then I have to ask you, so when the Tyron Woodley fight just last week, did that put a chink in the armor of UFC fighters crossing over to boxing?
No, not at all. I think just Tyron Woodley made a mistake. He made a mistake by not punching. He should have punched a lot more. I mean, even just punching just to touch him. Just touch him. Don't try to knock him out every punch. And I've learned this through my camp right now already. It's like all the guys that come to spar with me, I'm trying to knock them out with one punch. And my coach is like, stop it. Stop it. And 2 weeks ago, I've actually stopped it. And now it's numbers. Now it's numbers of combinations. And if the punch comes, my hands are so damn heavy, I don't need to throw a hard punch. I can just touch them. And I think that was Tyron Woodley's downfall, was trying to knock him out with one punch. If he would have hit it with numbers and would have striked a lot more, I think he would have won the fight. But he blew it by not throwing numbers, and Jake Paul won by throwing numbers. This is a number game. This is boxing. This isn't MMA. This is a number game. And you got to be the sweet science. If you understand the sweet science, you'll get a win, and Jake Paul did well in that fight.
And then just final question, do you see any people in today's fighting world, from boxing to MMA, just either or, that kind of remind you of yourself, of a younger version of yourself that comes into that ring or that octagon with that same aggression that you had and that same approach?
Wow. God, there's a couple guys, there's a Strickland, I believe, in the UFC who just beat, Uriah Hall. Mentality, a wrestling base, a guy who's just aggressive and just push forward. That's the way I've always win my fights, with aggression. And that's watching Mike Tyson as a kid growing up, just having that aggression and always just looking at him and making sure that he knows I'm here to kill. That's my mentality. I don't really see it as a sweet science. I see it now as a sweet science, but as a young buck coming up, you understand, I never had an amateur career. I fought in the UFC for free. My first fight, UFC 13, May 30th, 1997. I never getting paid no money for it. I fought for free. A year and a half later, I became the world champion. I never had an amateur career. I just was on the fly, and I learned everything as it came. And I just a hard worker. I dedicate myself to my job. And this is what I do. I eat, sleep, and train. That's it. That's my life. This is my life. This is what I love. And, I'm a fighter, man. I've been a fighter my whole life. I got my ass kicked as a young kid. I took some ass whippings. I gave some ass whippings. And then I got into high school wrestling. And then once again, I gave a lot of ass whippings. I took a lot of ass whippings. And then I got into college. I gave a lot of ass whippings. Maybe took only one loss. Then got in Division I. Once again, I took a lot of ass whippings from my heavyweight wrestler at the time, Stephen Neal, who played on the Patriots, who has 4 rings. He was a heavyweight, and he beat my ass every single day. And then I got into UFC, and I became the world champion, man. And I took some ass whippings, and I gave some ass whippings. But you know what? Every one of my fights, I come to fight. I come on to put on a show. It's entertainment, but it's a fight to me. And I'm fighting for my life. I'm fighting for my fans. I'm fighting for my family. And I ain't changing no different on my mentality for this fight in general. I'm not go out there to touch gloves with Anderson and say, hey, let's dance around him and spar with each other. No, I'm going there for blood. I'm going there to hurt someone. And that's my job. So I'm going to do is entertain fans.
Well, I appreciate you. I thank you for your time. And I can't wait to see it now. I'm super pumped and super excited.
Me, man, it's really exciting. Of course, for all your fans, thank you for watching this. You guys can text Tito, T-I-T-O, to 75303. You can buy the pay-per-view, or if you're in LA, or if you're in Florida, if it goes to Florida, you get them on to go to Florida, or you can buy the pay-per-view. Once again, it's Tito to 75303. Text Tito to 75303. Buy the pay-per-view. Watch me kick some ass. I'm going to shock the world. September 11th. This one's for America, baby. Let's go.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.